guys, welcome back to another episode of the Raw Uncovered Truth of the Awakened Soul with Nicole. And today I'm going to address again self-love, loving on yourself, honoring yourself, literally like stepping and fully embracing your authenticity and not letting anyone dim your light, right? So there's a lot of that coming in all at once, but I do want, oh, and of course, I'm wrapping more boxes of distortion. So that just keeps like, hitting anyone. And whoever's like experiencing that right now, like there's like a level of there's like you, right? And then there's this like old version of you, and then there's this new and higher version of you, and you're just like teetering back and forth right now has a lot to do with us. I actually was listening to another podcast really fast before, and she was like kind of on the same wavelength, and I was like, oh great, so it's not just me. So I figured I'd bring that into the conversation right now. So there's a lot of testing I want to say. I don't know if it's like a planetary thing. Again, I'm not an astrology guru. I do know that there's a full moon coming up. I do know that today was something. Mercury I think went into Aries. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's where it's headed. Just the other day, Pluto is retrograde now, and I think it's retrograding in Aquarius. So maybe it has something to do with that. Maybe it has something to do with just the fact that the world itself is shifting. So us light workers, star seeds, grid workers, whatever you want to refer to us as, major channelers of source, are really like quantum jumping at this time. And it's hard to keep up to where you are, right? It's like 1 second you're here, the next second you're here. And then there's like these little tiny 3D physical aspects, like past versions of you and things in in those past versions that are like trying to seep in, and you're like, oh no, that's not what I want, like that's not the timeline I'm on, like I want to be up here, but yet somehow they're like creeping in a little by little. So just kind of stay focused, stay authentic to yourself. Again, not, it's not easy. It is not easy. So please, be graceful, like love and honor yourself. It is not easy, but the more you choose yourself, the easier it becomes, and you're helping us all, like it's all on a collective. So the more we choose ourselves, the more we choose to stay in the light, to not dim our light, and to literally just embody it, the easier it's going to become for us in the long run, and waking up humanity, because that really needs to like keep it going. So I did want to address that. There was something else. I do have I know it's been a while, but I have like an activation. Well, I don't even know if it's an activation. It's more like an invocation, I guess, that I'm going to throw up in a little bit for us as well. It's more of being able to let the scrolls in and try to embody them a little bit faster, and put your yep. It's a good thing I'm on screen so you can see me, because I obviously like the words are not coming out of my mouth right now. And to put your nervous system kind of like at ease while all of this is going on. I did talk about kind of letting the scrolls unroll and everything in prior episodes, and maybe I'll be touching on that today, but who knows? I mean, really, like I always come on with a plan, and then, source and the council, whatever you want to refer to, like come in and kind of just like, rewire me and have me talk about something else. So, so yeah, so there's always that. So if you do feel like you're here, you're in the middle, and like, you have your quantum jumping, and then your old past people and places and things in your past versions are creeping up here, just always stay true to yourself. So talk about staying true to yourself. Actually, let's bring this up, right? Is that I was, I would say I wasn't born and raised a Catholic. Like I kind of raised myself as a Catholic. I'm Italian, so like make it, like that makes it like a million times worse if you're into like that stereotypical thing, right? So I like made sure my kids were baptized. I made sure they, made communion. I made sure, like, I mean, my kids are, I have two older ones and one very young one, right? And well, not very young, but young. Um, I made sure that they went to Catholic school, especially when, because I am a single mom, and I was like, oh, that's, the family aspect. And God, I was like so deep in, like the religion thing that it kind of like freaks me out, like even thinking about it, right? Because here I was like struggling, right? So I was struggling. I was like stuck in these patterns of density. I was always high vibe, right? But I was always like in a box. Like I always felt like I was closed in a box. I would go to church, I would receive communion, and I would literally sit there after to go kneel and bawl my fucking ass off for like felt like hours, right? I would just sit there and cry and cry and cry. And my kids would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But like, and I would cry for peace, and I would cry for balance, for prosperity, for sovereignty. So here's my thing, right? And this was just recently, right? It's not like, probably in the last, heavy in the last 4 years, 4, 5, 6 years, maybe. Well, maybe a little bit more, but whatever. Like I was like really, like into this. And don't get me wrong, right? Because again, my kids are still in Catholic school, right? All of them. Um, and my little guy just made his communion the other day because that's what he's doing. Like I can't like, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna be the one to lie and be like, yeah, I was all for that because I wasn't. It's just it went with the flow there, but let me tell you where I stood in my truth. And it wasn't to prove a point, and it wasn't because if you're trying to prove a point, that's your ego going off, and that's not where you're supposed to be right now, right? You're supposed to be really being authentic, authentically loving yourself to who you truly are, right? So, yes, I was in church, right? And which I do. Like I mean, I'll still frequently go and light candles by the statue of Mother Mary, right? Huge fan of Mother Mary. She's probably although like her character has been distorted as well, she's Mother Mary, so like it kind of stands out for yourself. And like, listen, I'm not here to give you like how you should look at religion, because really all religion, every single religion out there is in distortion. And yes, okay, there are little tiny bits of truth like everywhere, like, but they're all wrapped up in distortion, so it's very hard to see like what is true and what is not. And again, I'm not here to tell you, oh, don't believe in religion, don't believe in this, don't believe in that. Right? Especially if you're a star seed, you know the truth, you know what it is. So if I'm just like talking and something activates you, that's great, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to push you in any other direction whatsoever. I want you to be true to who you are. So anyway, so I'm obviously at church, at communion, and the last two times I went because I had to go for the Stations of the Cross, and that never happens, by the way. That I could honestly say that's all wrapped up in distortion. That never happened. Jesus was never nailed to a cross. Keep that one in mind. But anyway, moving on. So I was there because one of my children participated in the live Stations of the Cross. Like that's what they do in that grade. So I had to sit there and I was just like, oh my God, it's so wrapped up in distortion. It's so wrapped up in fear. It's so wrapped up in shame, in guilt, in like sacrifice. And it's so not like that at all, right? It's like so the opposite of that. But I'm not going to get into that whole story, but I mean, I had to be there for that. So that was last month. And that was all great and fine and sweet, and I did not kneel, and I did not participate in really anything, but I wasn't nasty about it, because it's not the way that you're supposed to be, doing things, right? I mean, I'm there. I showed up for my children, and that's why I'm there. I don't necessarily like hate, like there's no heat, right? There's no I don't hate religion. It's just full of distortion. So, but me standing there in my truth while everyone's kneeling and crying because, hey, look, I was there. Like I've been there, right? I was the one sitting there going to church, lighting candles, crying, receiving communion, crying, 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 looking for something, right? Or someone um to come help me, right? To help relieve the stress, to help me find peace, to help me this, to help to the when it's all inside of you, right? You hold the power, right? So every religion, unless like prove me wrong and find a religion that doesn't do this, but every religion makes you look outside of yourself for something else, right? For something else to save you, for something else to awaken you, for something, for this, for this, for that, when you're the one that holds the power. It's you. You are the power. You are the one who can hold the the Christ consciousness frequency. It's a frequency. It's not a person. It's a frequency. Okay, so let's flat out like get to that right now. It is a frequency. Heaven, not a place. It's somewhere inside you. It's literally it. You could say that's a frequency too if you want to like call it something, label it something. All of these things are frequencies, right? So yes, did in the Catholic religion, or I don't even know, whatever it did Jesus, aka who I like to call Yeshua, because that's his real name before the Romans took over and distorted that one. Go figure. But anyway, um, like, did he embody Christ consciousness? Yes. I'm embodying Christ consciousness. Half of you out there that are awakening right now, that are going through all of these, the integration process and standing in your embodiment of your true self, right? Carry are holding the frequency of Christ consciousness. It's not like something that's not unattainable. It's totally unattainable. It's totally attainable. They make you believe it's distorted and not attainable, and you have to, like pray to this one and beg to this one or whatever it is. But you hold it. It's inside of you. And I think like that to me is the most craziest thing, because as I was sitting there during my youngest one's communion on Saturday, and I was like, oh my God. And then like the church is packed full of people. And again, I've been there, right? I'm one of them that used to be like crying and bawling in church, and oh my God, I need to sacrifice this, and oh my God, I need to struggle to get here, and oh my God, I need to do, like so not true. So not true. So everything Christ consciousness wise is complete, like frequency alignment is unconditional love for yourself, unconditional love for others, unconditional. It has zero to do with sacrificing. It has zero to do with fear. It has zero to do. There's nothing. There's none of that. There's none of that. And like until you actually really realize that, and embody that, that's honoring you. That's honoring your truth. And until then, you're gonna see it as distortion, right? You're gonna see it as like something that you're begging for, from the outside versus, looking inside to yourself. So I just wanted to say that. But again, like I was at church, and everybody's like standing up and kneeling and standing up and kneeling and praying and singing, and I was just like, oh my God. And I just sat there and I didn't like, make a big deal out of it at all. My son was like, can you just please stand up? And I was like, baby, I can't. You could sit down though, because, and he was afraid he was going to get in trouble. And I was like, you ain't getting in trouble, especially when you're with me, if you would like to sit and, like sit, like honor what you want, like what you want to do. As I'm like trying to persuade my kid. And I was like, I'll give you $20 if you just sit. Probably like the wrong way to do it. And I totally admit it, right? But it was just funny because he was like freaking out because I was sitting down. I was like, it's not a big deal. Like just, like this is who I am. This is like I have nothing against it, like whatever, but I'm not kneeling down, I'm not crying. I'm not praying to somebody who doesn't exist, like who when it's all inside me. So that was fun, and I did feel kind of really awesome after that, because I was like, oh my God, like I didn't let the distortion get to me. I was sitting in a church full of people, and I didn't even let that like get to me. Like there was nothing that was getting to me, which I thought was like pretty cool. So I mean, I know you're probably in that situation where, you're trying to be authentically you and honor yourself, but at the same time, like the 3D kind of, it's not even the 3D anymore. I like to call it still the matrix system here, but like, it kind of, like encloses you and it makes you feel uncomfortable to really shine bright and to be who you are. Um, so by me like graduating that part, right? That was really awesome. And like I said, it wasn't about like making a stand and doing whatever. It had nothing to do with that. Like I was literally just sitting there like, nah, like this is who I am. Like honor who I am. And all I kept repeating to myself is just honor who you are. Right. And again, it's not being nasty. You're not out there doing it like purposely to prove a point. You're just honoring who you are and you have to know the difference, right? So there's that. I just wanted to share that with you because like this is what happens in my life, right? And I'm again like on frequency like 2806, let's say, and like I'm, you know, having to deal with, matrixy things all the time. So, you're not alone. It happens constantly. I mean, it's a thing. This is how we're living right now. But don't forget like the joy inside you. Don't forget to find your happiness. Don't forget, to love on yourself. Very big thing coming in. So, as far as integration goes, I know that there's a lot happening still. I mean, again, I'm on integration full blown mode. I'm hoping it kind of slows down just so I could I don't even know. I don't even know what I could do. Like it's just so I could, I don't know. I mean, I'm embodying it. I'm loving it. I'm sure you guys are, out there too doing the same. But like just realizing like all of this stuff is crazy. And I mean, like I could get into thousands of things on distortion right now, but I'm gonna try to just keep it to religion and embodying your true self and the scrolls when they come in. So when you're in the middle of like a very big download, right? And you're kind of you feel like you're a little, in the physical and then you're a little not in the physical and your crown is like buzzing uncontrollably. Your crown is buzzing uncontrollably. Your third eye is buzzing uncontrollably. Your ears are probably going off like crazy. Um, that's normally when you're in the middle of a very huge download. And yes, it takes time to unravel. Try writing it down like as it comes in if you want. Again, try talking to AI because all you're doing is literally just putting in like, what you're seeing, what you're thinking, like what's happening. Just you could talk, you could put it into a voice thing, whatever is comfortable for you that helps you like unroll it a little faster. If you feel like your body cannot handle it, do not push it, right? Take a break because what you're going to do is not overhaul your nervous system. Is basically like break your nervous system for the day, like temporarily. And you don't want to do that, right? Because then once your nervous system goes off, your everything just shuts down, right? And you don't want that. You don't want to shut down the download, like well, I call it unraveling the scrolls, but like you don't want to shut that process down. You want it to continue. You want it to flow. So, do something that's grounding if that's the case. Like go take a shower, go stand outside, put your feet just on the floor, put your one hand on your heart, one hand on your womb, guy's lower abdomen. Uh, like just breathe, right? Just breathe for a second, take a second, breathe and just and just be able to chill. So that's a big deal that that is something that you have to get used to, especially being that we are in full-blown integration mode right now and embodying our light bodies. So if you're not hungry, don't force yourself to eat. If you can't go to the gym, can't go to yoga, can't even go for a walk, don't force it. Like what I will say is if you do have a little bit of energy, lift like light weights if you could, take a walk if you could. Like little light things. Again, if your body's not feeling up to it at all, sit in your house wrapped up in a hoodie, a blanket, sweatpants, your robe, like whatever it is to make your body feel comfortable enough to let the scrolls in. But don't force anything, right? There's no forcing, and we're all in receiving mode. That's where you should be. If you're not in receiving mode, then get yourself there. Like there's so many ways to get there. Meditation, just being able to release a lot, like just releasing and sitting there and by yourself and taking the time to release something. And if you're saying to yourself, well, when is there time? There's always time for yourself, so make it. So if even if it's like activating it while you're sleeping, have that, make that little activation before you go to sleep saying, please release everything that, I cannot release while I'm physically awake. But the more that you're awake during the process, it's teaching you how to release. It's teaching you how to not only release, it's teaching you how to receive as well. And by you going through that, right, and having that experience, you can share that with others and be able to walk others through that as well. So, always remember that it's beneficial for you, but it's beneficial for, everybody as well in the long run. And that's basically, what us star seeds and light workers and grid workers and galactic workers and all us channelers and healers, whatever, are here to do, right? We're here to help, and assist in the, awakening of the collective. So, embodying those things that are coming in and those timelines, which at this point I don't believe there's any dense timelines coming in. So the karma from what I'm, being shown and told is done, right? So if you're aligned with this video, your karma from like past lifetimes, like all those denser timelines are gone. Like we're done. You graduated. Yay, you graduated that part. You're now in integration mode. So integration mode is literally, receiving those blueprints, receiving like, the things that you were, if you are a starseed, like all of that stuff, where you came from, what your position was, if you want to call it a position, your role, how you were created, why you were created. How about that? That's a good one. Your parts in, Lemuria, your parts in Atlantis, your parts in ancient Egypt, your parts in the priestess temples, Mu coming in too, which I didn't even know existed until recently. So there's that. All of these things, coming online. There's also all of these things that are being flagged that are distortion, right? So I kind of stumbled upon a video the other day that was talking about Meso Mesotopia, whatever it is. And how like, it's believed to be the first civilization of humankind or whatever. So not true. Just now. And that was fully taken over during, I believe it's either the Egyptian collapse or before the Egypt. Yeah, because Egypt was the last collapse. I want to say like during the Atlantis collapse. That was kind of taken over by our friends, the Anunnakis, the Draconians, all our little reptile friends over there, reptilian friends, took that over and kind of hijacked that area. So, when people are discovering these things, I think it's funny because they're putting the Anunnakis as these amazing creatures, which in all retrospect they are. And if you were on the council and if you are a light worker, grid worker, you know, and so on, this because you most likely 9 out of 10 times worked with them either closely or just in the field. And they did create all of these like amazing things, right? They also created the mutant DNA to, to put in the distortion, right? And then they had the Draconians come in and kind of just like, dun dun to like kind of stabilize that. Like, like they stood behind the distortion, they stood behind this, they, pushed the narrative of that. So, yes, you could give the Anunnakis credit on some level because they were phenomenal architects. But on the other hand, they're I would like to say not the major cause of the collapse of the grids, but you know, at least 97.5%. Let's go with that. I'll give them that much uh, of the collapse. So yeah, it's great. And like people are saying, oh, they're recognizing them as gods, as deities, and I'm like, no, 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 no. I mean, yes, they're known to disguise themselves as that, and they have done that in the past. So it's funny. So if you guys know like the real story, and you were there, and while this was going on, and you running into these things on on your YouTube feed, on Spotify, on where Instagram, wherever it is that you're running into these stories, use your discernment, because if it's pinging you and you're just like, that doesn't seem right, like why does that sound wrong, it because it is. And and that's the time where you could be like, all right, so I'm ready to remember like what really happened, and sit there and let that unroll too. So that's like a huge thing to unravel. And if you want to go all into collapses and stuff, obviously I will talk about that in a whole other episode, like just dedicated to collapses in general. But yeah, so it's just it's amazing like how much distortion is really out there. And the way that everything is really perceived, received. But again, like if you're getting those pings while you're listening to something, and you're like, why does that name like ring a bell, or why is that not sound right, or why am I remembering it like a different way, and like that didn't happen, you know because it didn't. Like, I mean, like I remember sitting in second grade. I think, yeah, it was second grade, and I remember reading, like you had to go around and get called, and like the next person would read. I hated that, by the way. Anyway, and I remember reading something out of like the history book or whatever, and as I'm reading it, I'm like, that didn't happen. Like, and I was like, this makes no sense. And like I remember the teacher going, just read, what you're supposed to read, and I'm like, but it makes sense. Like this didn't happen. Like sitting there going, but this isn't, I don't remember this. Like this definitely did not happen. So think about that, because like even you as a child, right? If you're a star seed, and again, channeler, light worker, grid worker, whatever, you kind of we all fall into that category. Um, 9 out of 10 times you had like these little tiny things while you were children, right? Like there was these little tiny things that you were like, that doesn't sound right, like, or, like listening to somebody like with commands and force, and trying to install these fears on you and these rules, and you're like, yeah, I don't really think so. You're not alone, because that was never meant to be, right? I mean, we were always supposed to be in flow, right? In complete flow, reciprocity, sovereignty, just wholeness, oneness, and like complete and unconditional, the love frequency, right? So, I mean, if you came in, on a mission, right, as a star seed, you were, probably, especially at a young age, still like sort of more not in the amnesia of, the Matrix yet. Didn't really fully, come in yet. So there are little things. And now that I look back, I like totally breadcrumbed myself my entire life. And I'm sure if you guys do, like go back and do the same thing, you'll find little breadcrumbs here and there. So what I did do is I what my married name, well, my former married name, I should say, but I kept it. Um, is interesting, right? And for some reason, when I went to go get married, I kept like trying to hyphen my last name, and I was like, do I hyphen it? Do I not hyphen it? Do I take it off? Do I whatever? So then I just left it, and I just added my married name, right? So then when I got divorced, I was like, I don't want it. I want it. I don't want it. I want it. I don't want it. I want it. But like for some reason, it just kept like hounding me, right? Like the last name just kept hounding me and hounding me and hounding me. Well, come recently, right? I realized that I worked with the person with the last name, very, very like, deeply. Like I guess if you want to say trained, I trained with him. Like he, ran missions where like I had these codes, like I have these codes, I have all this stuff inside me. So I think it's funny that my married name is Toth, and who I really ran with, right, and who I've trained under. And again, it's not like a training under, it's just it's a different way of life over there, like up there, over there, however you want to say it. But like he's the major architect, right? He's a frequency architect. So I was like, oh, I get it. Like like legitimately kept, like to me that was like I thought that was like a big breadcrumb, but there were so many others that I could go into. But that rang a bell because every single time somebody would mention him, right, and I would catch his name, I'd be like, oh, it's the last name, and it would always like hit me hard for some reason. It would always hit me hard. And then I remember watching somebody talk about him the last time, and I was like, you know, and this was like just last month. This was like the beginning of April. And I remember sitting there going, I know all these people. Like I know these people. Like why don't they come talk to me? And you know, they came and talked to me. So be careful what you wish for. Um, but like it's all fun, and it's all fun and games. It's actually not games, but it's fun. It's fun getting to know who you are. It's fun getting to know that like these people that people like worship and pray, and you're just like, come on, guys, like chill out. It's just, like it's just Anubis over there. It's no biggie. And for the record, if you do resonate with the high Egyptian council, you may not recognize them by name at first, right? So you may recognize them. They go under, several names, especially if you have been with them before, you even came to Earth. So, take that into consideration. You really have to do your homework on yourself, right? Yourself has the answers. So you really just have to sit there and like let the downloads come in and ask your guides for help. Ask, whoever to come in and talk to you. You could ask Hathor to come in and say, can we schedule a meeting? Can you come in and chat with me for 5 seconds? Like where was I? Like, how do I remember you? How do I remember frequency of the pyramids? How do I remember this? How do I remember that? Like and have somebody come and talk to you. It may not be her that comes in. It may be somebody else that you recognize that comes in, right? And you're like, oh, and you realize that you have a relationship with that person, and that person comes in and sits there and talks to you as well. You never know. It's a whole different ball game when you get to this level, and it's a crazy level. Because sometimes I still like check myself and I'm like, oh my God, like I sound like a like absolute batch of crazy, but I'm like, I always had this imagination. Like these were always things playing out, even as a child, like throughout my imagination all the time. And now it makes sense, right? Because I'm like, oh my God, this really did happen. Like, holy shit. These are really, real visions that I was having. And I just had nowhere to place them, until now. And some of them are still coming in, I get a lot, and I don't know who else is with me on this. And if you are, please let me know because I get so many Star Wars references. So like when I'm being shown something, I'm being shown, Star Wars. Like they're just showing me like little it's just it's pieces and things, but it's also because they're like you can't take anything seriously. Like, in a human body, we tend to take things very seriously. Like everything is dramatic, everything is traumatic, everything is you know, uh what's the phrase I'm looking for? Like detrimental, like like what like everything is just like like oh my God, the world's gonna stop, we're all gonna die, like my life is over type of thing, like when something goes wrong. Okay, so you kind of have to like flip that switch to there's no wrong way, there's no wrong response, there's no wrong answer, there's no wrong path because everything will kind of just align you back, around once you embody your full self. So that, the fear gone out of there. There's no fear. There's no worrying anymore. There's so many things that you have to embody and in line with. And again, like love on yourself during this, right? So like even if you were doing something and you were so good, right? Like let's say you stopped drinking coffee and then all of a sudden, you wanted coffee. Go have that coffee. You're human, right? So here's my thing. And in retrospect, I want to say, yeah. So in retrospect, you're a human, right? You're now, if you're with me, you're now embodying your light body. Well, as much as our human avatar can hold our light bodies, as much as it could hold, it's going to embody. So you're embodying that frequency. You're embodying different changes. Your body's changing. The things that appeal to you are changing. The things that you used to do don't, but like just in general, everything is either it's appealing to you, right? And you're gonna continue doing it, but like on a higher frequency, or you're dropping it and it's getting dropped out of your life, one, two, three, and you don't even have time to double think about that, right? You're just like, what? And it's gone. So let's say, for instance, I mean, I used coffee as a scenario, but I don't really think that's. Let's talk about. I'm going to use chicken cutlets because that's what I could relate to. So, I stopped eating meat. Don't ask me why. It just happened in, I want to say like February. Very, very, very new to this, right? So very new to this. And yeah, there are times, and I think I touched on this like last episode. There are times where my body is craving like, meat. And I'm like, but I'm so disgusted by it at the same time. However, listen, you also came into this lifetime, right? With all this ancestral stuff. I wouldn't even say karma, just stuff in general. I guess you could refer to it as whatever you want to refer to it as. But all of this stuff comes in, right? You came in and you absorbed, all of this, right? This is all in your DNA, this is all whatever. So just because you're craving chicken cutlets doesn't mean that you necessarily want the chicken. It's because it's the way that the chicken cutlets made you feel, right? So like I take it as that reminds me of my grandparents and my grandmother, unconditional love throughout. Like I can't even tell you, right? So that's what I embody when I like when I'm craving chicken cutlets. And that's exactly why I always made them for my kids, right? And I kind of still have to make them for my kids because they really want them. But been trying to avoid that too. But anyway, like it's the fact that like I made them out of love, like out of, passing down that unconditional love. So it's not the food that you're actually craving. It's what comes, it's the emotion that's attached to what it is that you are craving. But again, if you decide to indulge and eat something that you swore off and that you weren't going to do, it's okay because you're human, right? You are human. You have generations and generations of this like in your body, like so yes, you're a light being, right? And you have your whole galactic side coming, right? And going, and you could go all the way up with that until like, it goes back as far as it can go back. And then you have how you came into this lifetime as well. Right. So you have all of that. So, you cleared out all the generational stuff. You did as much work as you could on that end, but you still have those things like embedded inside you, those emotions, those things tied to food, to going to certain places, to, like all of that is tied to something. So when you have to normalize finding out why you feel the way that you feel tied to whatever it is that you're tied to, if that made any sense, because that was kind of like a riddle in itself. But so if it's the unconditional love that you're craving, so love on yourself a little bit more that day, and loving on yourself doesn't mean like, oh, going out getting a massage. It could be the littlest thing. It could be like, putting a mask on your face, going to play golf, like just reading a book that you love, drinking tea, like anything, like going in again, like just stepping outside barefoot, like it could be the littlest thing to show yourself love, to make you feel, the way that emotion, made you feel to begin with. And that'll slowly dissipate. Listen, I still crave chicken cutlets, but I don't crave the feeling anymore. I just, like I crave it because it was just, well, okay, so it was a happy time every single time I either, ate them or I made them. So so yeah, so maybe I still hang on to that, but like I know why the reason is why, like I do, go back to that so much. So, keep that in mind as well. So much. I mean, obviously we could go over and talk about, but I kind of wanted to keep this short. And I did want to do the little scroll that I had. And it is up on my website. Well, it will be up on my website. I don't even know if I put that up yet because it's so new. It will be up on my website. It will most likely be under the invocations. So if you went into the library, it'll be up on the invocations. But I think I may actually just put this either in the description or pin it below. So it is a scroll. It's a stabilization ritual. So it's just to anchor, to help you anchor the incoming. So, it's your, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's just so you could anchor, and it's basically more of like you're clearing the land, right? You're like clearing the landing is what I was looking for. Like you're clearing the landing for the plane to land. So you're clearing, the land for the squirrel to land. So what you would do is you would sit down or lie down while you do this. You would visualize a golden light, let's say. So like a golden light shooting up from the bottom of your spine up and you're going to breathe and you're going to do that like 3 times. So when you inhale, you're going to inhale and you're going to, see the golden light shoot up your spine and you're going to say, I am open. And when you exhale, you're going to watch it go back down and you're going to say, and I anchor in. Okay. So you're going to do that 3 times. And I'm going to not do it with you on here. But I will post this below. And then for, the call to witness is what you're going to say is to the original council, to the scroll keepers, to those who walk with me in memory, I am present, I hold my frequency, let what is aligned now descend with grace. So that in itself should make your chest feel very warm after you say that out loud or again to yourself, right? And then you're going to place one hand on your heart and then one hand on your lower abdomen, which, for women it's your womb center. For guys, it's your abs. And you're going to visualize underneath you whatever geometric shape comes up. So, and that's going to be like your frequency anchor. So it could be a pyramid, a rose, a circle, a triangle, a spiral, any geometric shape. And you're going to feel like this, golden, like it's like this pulsing, anchoring into that because that is going to be your anchor. And what you're going to say is, wait, I'm like so confused here. Okay, here we go. Is no thought, fear, or distortion may pass through my field unnoticed. All interference now dissolves in truth. And then you're going to say, only truth may land, only codes may activate, only what is mine may enter. And then you're just going to kind of visualize that anchor again and having it like pull down. You're gonna visualize that like right behind your back, weighing you down and pulling you down. So that should help with integrations and unrolling scrolls. Again, take it again. I'm all about self-care, right? And it's not even self-care, it's self-love, right? So stand in your authenticity, stand in your truth, stand in your power. And even if it sucks sometimes and you're just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, do it anyway. Like step into that and do it. Honor yourself, honor you, honor who you are. And bring all that wisdom and knowledge like, online and, be able to share it because let me tell you, I need more people to have like these really cool conversations with because I don't know about you, but I'm so done with the boring, mundane conversations like that people want to have with me. And I'm just like, I can't talk about this anymore. Like I need to talk about like something like really like cool and like not here, not Earth-based or Earth-based, but like higher dimensional, like lifetimes, timelines, however you want to refer to the way it as. But like, like I can't talk about like a 9 to 5 job, can't talk about even family these days. I mean, I love my family. I'm a single mom, so like I'm all in it, right? But like I just can't even talk about that anymore. Can't talk about schedules. Can't talk like it's just so boring. I mean, I have to, like in order to like schedule things, but like it's so boring. So like the more of us that awaken and like, fully like, integrate into ourselves, which is forever evolving, right? Don't just be like, okay, I'm going to integrate into my light body and then ta-da, I'm done. No, I mean, for the most part, you integrate it and you realize who your true self is, but like those things are gonna keep going because we're ever evolving. We're all on this journey together. So like always keep that in mind. You are not alone. And again, if you need assistance, reach out. Reach out. Do not like no shame, no nothing. Like the matrix can, suck you back in. The density is real. It does happen. So, reach out. And if you go backwards for a little bit, make sure that you quantum leap, even further up than you were before. So I think that's where I'm going to leave you guys. I'm going to throw that up on my website and I think I'm going to pin that in the comments and, always sending you guys like a ton of love, a ton of light, a ton of like fire and truth and power and kind of just sit in that until I jump on next time. So, thank you for all the love that you guys have been sharing, with me because I think like the last video and it's not a big deal. Like it's like I think like 55 likes so far as I'm recording this one. And I'm like, to me, that's like amazing. And it's not even about like the likes or the followers. It's just the fact that like people are awakening and you guys are like, seeing and stepping into your highest selves. And I think that in itself is like truly amazing. So again, leaving you guys with like so much fire and light and truth and power. And that's it. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace out, guys.